very, very... when they come out like crippled, lost an arm, something like just malfunction, they're stuck in wheelchairs. Now for them, they go to work for the Oni, who are their intel. And they're like, they're still the best minds in the galaxy because we train them to be the best minds in the galaxy.
You were so... Sorry, just to pause again. You were so excited when you got this pull power.
I have... There has not been
like you're celebratory.
I very much was. And I'm sorry you guys don't get to see that, but don't worry. When later on in the game, stuff really begins to happen, and I become almost silently reverent about everything that happens from this point on in the game, just because of everything that like goes through and how fantastic Respawn Entertainment. Who before this was like, nope, they're known for Call of Duty, which granted have had fantastic stories. Don't
this is better. I would rather play this. I would rather watch you play this.
That's fair enough.
That's my personal preference, though.
I completely understand. However, I would be like, hey, we're gonna play
pull and push. Look at you using your skills.
I would be like, we would play Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Because they're fantastic.
Yeah.
But they also made Titanfall, which I love Titanfall. And for them to go from a first-person shooter to mechanics of Dark Souls to the nuances of Star Wars, and I think they've done such a great job capturing you as a Padawan and as somebody who has to relearn what they've already always known. And these flashbacks are fantastic. Like I said, this game to me has been absolutely magical. I'm very excited that apparently a new one has been leaked to be in the works. I haven't finished this one yet by this recording, but we're very close to endgame, which is incredibly, incredibly exciting. But yeah, so back to the Bad Batch and 99. I'm glad that you were happy with how everything works out for 99 at the end of that episode. And I think one of my parts, and I've touched on this every time we've watched it, is the first episode where Yoda's with the clones on the planet. And they're going to see the Targaryens, which is who Walto was in episode 1. Who's the fluttering guy who like Anakin as a slave.
Yeah.
So they're going to his planet, and Yoda sits there and they're like, we're all clones, or like, look how hunters. I wish to see.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's not much to see, we all look the same. And it's like, you know how very different you are in the Force. It's like, you're always concerned with this. Ammo do we not have. Ammo doesn't win wars. And it does such a beautiful job going through the...
showing their unique personalities. Like, you might all look the same. Like, you might... It's like, it's worse than triplets. Sorry, I know that sounds terrible. But, like, you all have the same face, varying degrees of hairstyle. Rex has, like, little to no hair. But you all are still your own people. Like, it's very, like, still, like, a nature versus nurture. You might all be the same genetically. Which sounds terrible now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, also with coronavirus. Just... I don't know, genetic variability is strength. Otherwise, if you're all genetically identical, you just get one virus and it'll decimate the population. I bring you the cheetah.
What?
They're all damn near genetically identical.
Like the animal?
Yes, the cheetah's the animal.
Huh.
Yeah, and corn.
Well, I know, like...
Corn's been engineered. Look, corn's been engineered, and it's fine. It's the best. It's as strong as it can be until something terrible happens.
Aren't we trying to, like, reverse engineer corn now, currently?
What do you mean by that? Sorry, guys. This is, like, all over the place.
No, but I mean, like, it's such a huge thing with Star Wars, because there have been games where they talk about how these... how these, like, especially when it comes to, like, a Jedi, or when it comes to a clone, they talk about, and they've actually now come out and said, like, hey, Palpatine in the movie was a clone.
What?
Yeah, he was.
Who is they that comes out with this stuff?
Disney and Star Wars. It's been tweets. Okay. A lot of people are upset because they're just, like, retroactively, like, fixing tweets that they never explained.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is like the bullshit that J.K. Rowling does. It's like, look, he's this, but if you read this sentence the one way it implies, and it's... Like, that's what you hate on Harry Potter for.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what that's what I'm over here frowning and being disgruntled. I'm sorry, continue the story.
You're completely fine with that. And
Okay.
I
was like,
agree,
hey, wait a second.
I agree with that stupidity of those remarks. I personally thought that in the very beginning when it happened, and I just had it as headcanon, because it makes more sense, especially when you see like exploding blue fire after he's thrown off the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as it were, in the original book series, it's like the Dark Empire. You learn that he does build a Star Destroyer that is able to blow up planets, and it's massive. It gets stolen by pirates at one point. And then 2, he clones himself because he is narcissistic and is like, well, if I ever get destroyed, we know what the Clone Wars was, and this is before the Clone Wars was ever really specified. Like, we knew of the Clone Wars. We knew it had something to do with clones, hence the name. But we didn't know the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
This was an offering
And
to the Sageberry.
he says in the very beginning of the new ones, he's like, with dark arts and being the bad guy that I am, I was able to use this thing that theoretically has almost been perfected for him now.
Enough time has passed.
And that all happens. And now we're also to the point here where, and this is something that Tyler and I talked about, and I think you might find, is it's always exciting to see people who survive Order 66. To date this, last week you and I were playing the game a bit further, and we finally got to see what happened for Cal with Order 66.
Yeah, that broke my heart.
It does.
It was cinematic and it was beautiful, but it had the intended effect.
That's what theoretically the new season of Clone Wars is going to hit up to.
I'm excited to get there because, story and plot points, but at the same time, like, it's going to make me so sad. It's going to break my heart, but I want to see how we get there.
And, like, even now that we've watched other episodes, like, we've gotten to see Ahsoka, who is Anakin's Padawan.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, we pretty much like her, both you and I, universally.
Yeah.
We've seen a few different battles, and we get to see their interaction. We got to see Obi-Wan with Saltine.
Yes.
Her name is Satine, I know, but Mrs. Play does not like her and calls her Saltine.
Yeah, I was being petty.
That's fine. Tyler and I were talking about that. There's do you remember when we were watching the end of Dragon Ball Z Abridged? And at one point, 16 looks at Gohan and goes, "The only thing that you have here is that you stood on your morals next to the pile of bodies and blood that you could have presented, only to say, but I'm a pacifist." And he's like, "And I bet everyone here would have a story. Look at Vegeta, and then they died. Look at Trunks, and then they died. What about your debt?" And like goes into that. And I think that's a really cool aspect that they do a good job going between over here is, especially with Clone Wars, when they start showing other cultures, when they start showing other races and planets, just like, who are they? What are their beliefs? What is it truly like for a pacifist? The Jedi are supposed to be these. They're supposed to be
Protectors
these,
of peace.
These peacekeepers, and right now they're called generals. They're not called peacekeepers. And I personally really enjoy that difference. We've seen my favorite Jedi so far, Plo Koon and Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto was the dreadlocked one that was when they went to the General Grievous System, and Plo Koon is the dad. What have you thought about seeing different Jedi in different ranks, especially? I know you thought Plo Koon.
That was putting me on the spot. I was like,
Oh, I have no idea.
Sorry for my awkward silence. I don't think that just because you're a Jedi, you should automatically be a general. I understand that they are trained combatants, and they do have the Force, and that there is, like, a meditative spirit about them. And only, like, certain personality types, like, become Jedi. However, like, I don't know, like, I don't think that all of them should be generals, and all the ones that we are, like, introduced to thus far have all been some form of general. I don't know. Yeah, you can't all be like suited for this particular skill set. I like that we're seeing so many different races. I like they really, the rest of them, I don't know their names, you do, stand in such contrast to Anakin. Aside from his brashness, like, I haven't been watching all of the episodes, but I haven't seen, personally, any of the moments where it's like, you took that too far. And, like, here's a red flag, guys, here's a red flag, guys. And I know it's, like, in the context of war, is it really that bad? But also, like, side-eye, did anyone else see that? I personally haven't witnessed any of those moments as I've been watching the episodes with you. Where he like went a little bit too far. Like it's just been brashness that I see, which should, and peacetime would be like its own red flag. But I haven't seen like where violence went further than it should. But when you compare side by side the rest of the like Jedi Masters, Vice versus Anakin, I keep saying the word brash, but that's really it, and he's more emotional. Not that emotions are bad, but he's not as,
for the Jedi.
He's not as reserved or contemplated. It's very reaction from an emotional place. And as anyone with even average emotional intelligence will tell you, that's not a great place to be operating from in a high stress environment. Bless you.
Thank you.
I don't really feel like I answered your question. I just kind of like talked about what I know.
No, you did. You did fantastically. Like,